Hey everybody, back again with another commissioned vlog. This is Rick and Morty Season 2, Episode 2, requested by Shane. Hi Shane, thanks again for backing. Okay, so first thing, Rick and Morty kind of has a reputation, and I'm starting to see where it comes from. This was cynical as hell. This was bordering on bleak. Basically, the A-plot of this one was Morty discovers that his grandfather is selling weapons to assassins. He meddles in an attempt to save the life of the target of the assassination. And in the process ends up killing dozens, hundreds of people and putting the entire galaxy in danger from farts people. Yeah, that's dark. The thing I note though is that although from fairly early on in the episode, it's about Morty trying to save Fart. From at first, it seemed pretty clear to me that he was taking the assassin's card with the intent of killing Rick. It's only after he accidentally killed the assassin by landing the ship on him that he rescued Fart and the plot shifted to protecting Fart. So while at first, I was sitting down here with the intent of saying, hey, this was about even good intentions can lead to disaster. Morty's intentions weren't really that good, were they? Really, this was a cover-up by Morty for his real plan of killing Rick. Rick, assuming that Morty is, a goody two-shoes. At least I imagine that's how Rick views his unwillingness to, sell weapons to assassins, let alone kill people. Assumed he was there to rescue the target of the assassination, and really it's that assumption that led to the whole chain of disasters, culminating in Morty having to kill Fart to prevent him from unleashing his, launching an invasion. So it's not quite as bleak as I sat down intending to say it is. It's more of a, what a tangled web we weave kind of a thing. Morty's deception leads to a whole lot of death and destruction. Where if he'd been willing to just say, no, actually, I'm not here to save this guy, let's run, it would have gone a lot easier for him and a lot fewer people would likely have died. Excuse me. Meanwhile, you've got the very strange B-plot with Jerry, which I have a feeling that's a sentence that comes up a lot with this show. This one was a cross-temporal daycare center for Jerrys from different realities to be deposited by their versions of Rick and Morty. Which is a great concept and very funny. I definitely enjoyed the B-plot a lot on this one. I think probably more than the A-plot. Which just didn't have much humor in it. While the B-plot was very funny. The interesting thing there is that the only thing keeping Jerry in his prison, because it was a prison, he could walk out at any time, but the exterior was full of things he found terrifying and impossible to handle, so he retreated back in. You don't need walls to make a prison if you just make the outside scary enough to the people inside. And that's definitely what's going on here. I particularly liked the moment where Jerry comes back in and one of the other Jerrys says that the outside is too much of a hassle. and that gives him a way to dismiss it, to act like it's not something he wants, that he doesn't want to leave. It's too much effort. It's a fun little story. Not really sure that it had any significance except, need to be story to fill the time. For a while during the episode, I was working on the idea that it was all about Jerry being Jerry, while the Morty plotline was all about Morty being forced to be un-Morty. And that, Jerry didn't kill anybody. Jerry has mostly a nice time up until the ending. Other than his trip outside and the ending, he seemed to enjoy himself in that daycare center. But Morty did not have a nice time. So I guess there is something there to, being who you are as opposed to trying to be someone you're not. Because that's really what was going on with Morty. Is Morty clearly has a vengeful streak to him that he tried to deny. And it led him down this disastrous path. On the one hand, he clearly was very upset to kill Fart. But on the other hand, I don't think that's due to any particular attachment to Fart, so much as, being forced to confront himself. His understanding of who he is, that he is someone who can pull the trigger, if necessary. That he has killed a lot of people today. So is Rick. So is Fart. They're all killers. And I think those tears are Morty's recognition of that fact, and his silence after is his recognition of that fact. I don't get the feeling that this is the kind of show where that'll stick. This definitely feels like I've only seen 2 episodes, but this feels like a show that's, a series of one-shots with no long-term alterations to the characters, and that's fine. That works for me. But still a very bleak episode. They're really the closest thing to a decent person in this episode is Jerry, and he is depicted as an idiot amused by a daycare center designed for him. And I mean, maybe that's just how Rick and Morty works, There have been, very successful shows that are utterly cynical, utterly devoid of any notion of good characters. Everything from... And I'm saying good in the sense of morally good, not good in the sense of, interesting, well-constructed characters. Some have them, some don't. But, I mean, everything from Seinfeld to The Usual Suspects to Torchwood. Everybody's terrible in some shows. Game of Thrones, it's on right now. It's a show I very much enjoy. But nobody's got their hands clean on that show. So I guess in a way this is a nice, contrast to, the stuff I've done for this series before. Here in vlogs or in my writing, I've been doing stuff like Gravity Falls and Steven Universe and superhero stuff. And while not necessarily always squeaky clean, it's still pretty much, a lighter view of the world. Or at least one in which there is such a thing as good people. That's not Rick and Morty. And that's okay that it's not Rick and Morty, A varied diet is healthy. Contrast is a good thing. Anyway, I did enjoy this episode. I'm going to have to find a better way to watch this show, because trying to watch it on the Adult Swim website is terrible. As near as I can tell, it just refuses to buffer. I don't know what... it's Flash, but other than that, I don't know what they're using to display their video, but it doesn't buffer. it just tries to stream live, and that means a lot of lengthy halts while it, catches up to where I've watched to. Between that and the fact that anytime I try to full screen it, it starts stuttering for some reason, I definitely need to find a better way to watch this show. If I get commissioned for it again. Which I hope I do, because I am enjoying it. So, that's basically my thoughts on this one. Next time I'll be back with more Gravity Falls. Bye.